Get that in there.
Hey MGTOWs, this is Vention. My old man and I we were like overcome with boredom and cabin fever, so we decided to jump in the camper and take off to across the mountains and then down south and then around and then back I-5 north back to home. Good times. And if we get tired, we'll just stop and camp in the camper or possibly get a hotel. Who knows? We got our stimulus checks today, so we're living large. Boy, this area is certainly pretty in a weird way. I'm used to trees and shit. I'm not really used to all this desert, but it has a beauty of its own.
This is the Horse Heaven Hills.
Horse Heaven Hills in eastern Washington. Good times. The reason I was making this video is I was just going to share an observation that I had the other day. And it's periodically, like this morning, there was yet another woman who was like trying to tell us how bad it is that we're MGTOW and how we all need to, and how we're all misogynists and how we all need to get back on the plantation and get married and get divorced and then get alimony and child support and then suicide and all that stuff, you know, the usual routine. And personally, I'm not on board with that. But I have an observation on these people who do this, and I gotta say that in many ways, I'm suspecting that it's a mental illness. And what's happening is they are not living their genuine life. They are not living in reality as we pretty much mostly we are. We're not, we MGTOW are not above the possibility of mental illness, but I don't think we have it as much as that crazy feminist woman this morning. Basically, I'm of the opinion that they are not living their genuine, real life. What they're living is a fake reality that they reinforce through fantasy and telling themselves stories. And then on top of that, they try to get corroboration with other women in that situation, and they're all telling themselves how magnificent and how awesome and everything they are, when in reality they've hit the wall and they're my age. They're like 55. And when a woman is 55 and especially overweight like that one this morning, man, their sexual market value just drops right through the floor. And what really caused me to come up with this thought is that I did it too. For a short period of time, I was so overwhelmed that I retreated into fantasy as well. And that was back when Roger Ver stabbed everybody in the back in the Bitcoin community. And then everybody was saying that Bitcoins were going to crash. Vinny Lingus, I call him Vinny Lingus. Some people call him Vinny Lingham. He and a bunch of other real Bitcoin experts, they were like completely convinced that Bitcoins were like going to go down to 4,000, but or not 2,000 or some major crash. But actually, let me back up. That I totally messed that up. There was the situation that I'm actually talking about is when the Bitcoin price went up to like $1,200, and I hadn't bought any yet, and I was procrastinating back when Bitcoins were like $10 each, and I was like, should I buy Bitcoins? Whatever, it'll keep, you know. And then I turned around and Bitcoins had zipped right up to like 1,200, and I realized then that I had missed the boat. and I didn't. I figured, man, I calculated what I would have put into it if I would have gotten into it, and right at 1,200, I would have been like at several million, and I would have been freaking rich. And that's when the mental illness hit. That's when I was so down, disheartened, so disappointed, and so depressed, and so overwhelmed and hopeless that I had lost my chance. I figured I had lost my chance forever, but instead I didn't really lose my chance. It just took me another 5 years to get where I was hoping to go back then, or where I would have gone back then. But I started retreating into fantasy and thinking, and my mind wouldn't let it go. It wouldn't let go of what I had experienced or what I had hoped for, right? My mind disconnected from reality, and it was attempting to live in a fantasy world of my own creation. And my mind kept drifting into that alternate reality of what would have happened if I had made the right decision and bought Bitcoins back in early 2013 or late 2012, back when they were $5 or $6 each, or maybe $12 each. In 2013, they reached $13 each. And if I had bought those, man, I'd have been so friggin' rich. And my mind wouldn't let go. I kept thinking about and living vicariously in a fantasy of what life would have been like if I had made the right decision, bought Bitcoins at $5 each. Part of me was like disconnected from reality, thinking and trying to experience the alternate reality that I might have experienced if I had made the right decision. Like I was like fantasizing. I was like living in a parallel reality, guys. To the point where it was starting to distract me so that I wasn't putting my full effort into my actual real life. I was like only like 50% there, you know, almost walking into walls and things, because the rest of my mind was living in a fake delusional reality, and my mind wouldn't let it go. And I realized after like a week or so of that, you know, trying to work while my mind was elsewhere, trying to live in that fake ass fantasy world, I was actually trying to live in another world. And some psychologists, I mean, maybe if it got a little more severe, I believe psychologists would call that a psychotic break. And that could have escalated into a real problem. I could have been in serious trouble. They put those long sleeve shirts that tie behind you. They put those on you when you go too far into fantasy. And then you become unaware of what's going on around you. And I have like a serious imagination. And I think people who have real, serious, clear, visual imaginations like I do, we are more vulnerable to that shit. So anyway, it's my opinion that that woman this morning and all these women who are like making these videos about how horrible we are for not marrying them and supporting their illegitimate children and all their gangsta babies and all that shit, and then have to deal with the ex when he gets out of prison and shit. They are attempting to believe that is that their lifestyles are good, and they do things like telling themselves a story about how good their life is, how attractive they are, how strong and independent they are, and then they do things on social media to make it appear that they are living a better life than they are. And then on top of that, they try to get other women to sign off on their fantasy and sort of put their own mental weight behind that fake reality, so that they, in a way, many of them share this fake reality, and it's bizarre. And I am of the opinion that many of these women, I mean, they sound totally freaking insane. They're saying things that clearly aren't true, and they're just insisting, they're attempting through sheer force of will and stubbornness to change the very fabric of reality around them into something that where they are attractive and strong and beautiful and rich and powerful and respected and everything. And they're attempting to create that fake reality and get other people to sign off on it, and then we show up and we do not follow their fake reality. And it's like taking it's like the ice bucket challenge. It's like they're all happy and can be as can be, and then we show up with a big bucket of ice water and dump it on them. And then they're like shocked and appalled and angry that we are contradicting their reality. They call it their truth. This is my truth, they say. My truth. But the truth is, there is only objective reality. And if you have my truth that you try to build and have greater precedence than real reality, that, in my opinion, is insanity. So, MGTOWs, the landscape has changed a little bit. We got some trees now. Good times. Well, MGTOWs, I'm going to let you go and enjoy this drive. And since Dad's nice enough to drive, I can actually enjoy the ride. He likes driving. I like fixing them. I'm more of a mechanic than a driver, by far. Okay, MGTOWs, I'm going to let you go. And don't get married.